Did Emmy Award-winning special reports and told stories of true crime during her years in television news. But traditional mysteries motivated her to write the Sarah Doucette Jean-Louis series. Like Myra, Sarah is a San Francisco Bay Area native with mystical Louisiana Creole roots. She leans into Louisiana spiritualism to help her solve crimes. Sarah's story is in the UC Berkeley Bancroft Library and the District of Columbia Public Library. And Myra is currently working on a new Creole sleuth in a new series. Our author tonight is Lisa Parsons. She is a graduate of the University of Washington Paramedic Training Program at Harborview Medical Center and served in the renowned King County Medic One system, where she was among the first women hired. Her current novels, Aftermath and Ambush, are informed by her professional experience and enriched by her work as a writer, photographer, conservationist, and world traveler. She crafts stories with depth and creativity that are enhanced by real-world experience. Her writing and photographs have been published in books, newspapers, magazines, and blogs in the Pacific Northwest and across the globe. She is the author of the Emergence Series, with the third installment forthcoming in 2026. Lisa lives in Lake Tahoe, California, the perfect base camp for her next adventure. Sign up for Lisa's newsletter at lisaparsonsauthor.net.
You.
All right. Well, thank you. So let's visit with Lisa. And I love to ask people how they started their writing journey because no two stories are really ever alike. So, how did you begin writing fiction? Because as we heard, you have had extensive experience writing magazines, books, articles, that kind of thing. What caused you to start fiction? How did you start?
Well, I knew I always wanted to write a book. I don't know. I had really thought that I would write more eco fantasy stories, but then when I started my first novel, it just kind of wrote itself. And then basically that came out of, I had just finished up 27 years as a paramedic and finally had the quiet space to work, sort of unpack all those years. And then I wanted to write fiction because it gave me the creative freedom that I wanted to shape stories inspired by real experiences and the people that I'd met, and then the emotional weight of life on the front lines.
Yeah, yeah. And what made you go to that front line? Why a paramedic? How did
Um,
you decide that?
I wanted to do something that made a difference, but I also craved a lot of action and I liked unpredictability in life. And then becoming a paramedic gave me both the perfect balance of purpose and adrenaline, and it shaped how I saw people, crisis, and also resilience.
Did your nonfiction writing influence your fiction writing? Because you change sort of genres in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, how was that? How did one influence the other? I know for me, when I transitioned from news, my first coach probably wanted to quit because it was so difficult to get me into fiction writing.
Yeah.
So, what was your experience like?
I think I knew that I didn't want to just simply tell an entertaining story, that I wanted my novels to give readers an authentic glimpse into the life of first responders, and to explore complexities of living in the world where the tensions are both personal and politically charged. And then in both Aftermath and Ambush, I reveal the life of a female paramedic, the relentless jog stresses, the challenges of being a woman in a traditionally male environment, and the struggle to navigate the chaos of everyday life while carrying the weight of others' emergencies.
Yeah, and I have to say, from reading the book, you put us in her shoes. We definitely, and we'll talk more about the book in a minute. And why mysteries? What drew you to mysteries?
Well, I remember thinking, I know what dead people look like. And I thought I should write a murder mystery. I mean, it's just kind of that, simple thought that sparked me, the seed for the novels. And then I was also inspired by one of my favorite mystery authors, Nevada Barr, who writes about a strong, complex female park ranger in the National Park Service. And
Mhm.
like her, I wanted to create stories that combine like authentic professional experience with suspense, heart, and realism as seen through the eyes of a female first responder.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to read a description, of ambush, but you guys bear with me. My printer, we can't get my printer to work. It's totally broken. So I'm reading from my handwriting. So good luck with this. Let's see. Okay, ambush on the streets of the Pacific Northwest. It's Emergence Series Book 2. In the shadowy streets of the Pacific Northwest, paramedic Maya Murphy faces not just challenges of saving lives, but the very real threat of violent extremism targeting first responders. After the devastating loss of two colleagues to a targeted bomb explosion at a local college campus, Maya returns to the front lines, grappling with the PTSD that haunts her every move. As she navigates the chaotic world of emergency calls, danger lurks around every corner. Routine assignments become life or death scenarios, and extremists devise traps that test her resolve and courage. With her emotional state teetering on the edge, Maya must control not only external threats, but also internal battles that threaten to consume her. Ambush is a riveting suspense thriller that explores the complexities of heroism, the weight of emotional scars, and the relentless fight to survive in a world turned upside down. Through Maya's eyes, readers will experience the raw reality of first responders, and readers will experience will first responders' lives. Told you I'm reading my own writing. My handwriting's terrible. Raw reality of first responders' lives and the profound impact of both physical and emotional trauma. So I'm sure you'll do this better than me, Lisa. Do you have a favorite paragraph that you'd like to read for us?
Well, I just had a paragraph. I was kind of stirring through. I'm like, okay, one paragraph. Figure out. But I thought like it was just sort of in one of the mundane moments in the book that sort of sets, sort of some of the tone. So this is Maya stops in at a local meat market that she goes to a lot to get her dog bones. She has two dogs, Callie and Rio. Says, Maya smiled as she paid the cashier, a woman who'd been working there since Maya discovered the place. When had everything changed? It used to be pleasantries and something familiar to both of them, like her dogs that bridged the divide between them. But now, with the political shift, the disconnect between their worlds seemed irreversible. Maya had walked through many different communities as a paramedic, balancing her version of the world with what she saw. Sometimes it was hard to reconcile how different one person's life was from another, even though they lived in the same country, state, or local area. So, yeah, I just kind of.
Awesome. So now, are there or was there one or some specific experiences that inspired you to begin the Emergence series? Was there like this moment of, I got to capture this, or is it you reflect back? How does that work for you in the creation of this series?
Well, it was interesting. The first book, kind of like I said, wrote itself. And I think I used this interaction that I had with this horrible neighbor as a catalyst for a murder set in Lake Tahoe. Through the story, I explored the difficulties of living in a tourist town, a place where people from all walks of life converge, and sometimes harmoniously and sometimes not, um, as everyone's trying to carve out their own space in this beautiful but different environment. And so that was kind of the catalyst for the murder in Lake Tahoe. And, there wasn't really a murder, but they probably could have.
Mm.
And so I just tried to like introduce people not only to the murder mystery, but also to the culture that exists in the town, and people who've read it that are from there totally get it, just the nuances of trying to
Wow.
exist there. And then with Ambush, I was inspired by one of my beta readers. Um, in Aftermath, Maya and her team of first responders are ambushed by a right-wing militia while trying to save a police officer's life. And then that event sends Maya to Lake Tahoe, where she's take some time off to try to get her head together, staying at her friend's mountain house. And then after reading the book, the beta reader asked, well, what about the right-wing militia? And that question kind of stuck with me, and I realized that the story wasn't finished. So it needed its own resolution, and that's how Ambush was born.
Wow. And do we see you in Maya, or who is Maya?
So she, the protagonist, she reflects part of me, the adventurous side, the woman who loves her dogs, but she's also a composite of the incredible women I worked with alongside at Medic One. She embodies the passion, grit, and dedication that female first responders bring to the job, while also revealing the emotional vulnerabilities of being a woman in what's often considered a man's profession. Through her, I aim to honor their strength and humility while telling stories that matter.
I noticed that you brought us incredible detail. I enjoyed reading that. And you also showed the vulnerabilities in great detail as well. Were you concerned that with some of your subject matter, like about the militia, about extremism and that kind of thing in our current environment, did you have concerns about putting that into a book these days?
Yeah, I did, and I actually started the book before January 6th. So, um, but I think it's important to shed light on the tensions, both within the job itself and out on the street, that can impact our ability to simply do our work. I have a saying is the political is personal, which I use in the book. And I wanted to highlight how first responders find themselves caught in the crossfire, whether it's a right-wing extremism, gang violence, or a drunk driver on the freeway. First responders can become collateral damage.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you really brought to the forefront the trauma, you know, um, not just the action, but the actual internal trauma and what's happening to people who live those lives and live like you on the front lines. So while, we're mystery readers, we're mystery writers, we love that tension. And you managed to pull that tension all through the book where you have us waiting after that first incident. We're waiting. It's like we're saying, uh-oh, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen? When is that next bomb? When is that best threat? Is this because we're seeing it through Maya's eyes? I know it's skillful writing, but is it also because we're seeing this through Maya's eyes?
Yeah, I mean, that's the world that Maya and first responders live in. There's always an undercurrent of tension. And so I work to create that through the scenes in my book to give the layperson a taste of the world first responders work in, and then connect with others who do our job on the front lines. In the first part of the book, I dedicated the book to my coworker, April DeHuff, who unfortunately committed suicide. So, that was kind of in honor of her. Um, and that happened after actually I finished the book. So I just thought, in honor of her, I would dedicate it to her.
That's awesome. Okay, now here's the fun questions.
So,
Words of wisdom. We're going to pull some stuff out of your brain here. But first, pantser, plotter. Who are you?
well, I'm a pantser. So the first two books wrote themselves. I kind of just let the stories flow out of me. But in my third book, which is due next year, I'm plotting because the story has more moving parts and characters that I need to keep organized.
That's
So,
good.
yeah.
So now, what sort of lessons learned have you acquired at this point? Any sort of tips about writing mysteries? Anything that you do, a practice of yours, something to share with us?
I think one of the things is like some experience will happen. I'm like, that might be working a new story, like keeping those ideas. But then I also like on a more practical level, I think finding experienced mentors and groups that can help guide you through the literary process. I worked with a Shut Up and Write group during COVID and learned more quickly about writing, publish, and marketing from the different members.
Right.
Um, and then also continuing to learn is the key to getting better, and then I work on increasing my knowledge by doing the writing, reading and attending workshops, and then learning from others about the writing process. I think those are the key things.
Right. Community is so important. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why we're all here. So now we're going to open the floor for everyone's questions. And Rick, you ready?
I'll turn on my audio. We have one question from Karen. How did the name of the series come about, and what does emergence mean to you and to your protagonist?
So Aftermath the name came about because it was the aftermath of the worst call of paramedic Maya Murphy's career that led her to Lake Tahoe to sort of escape her demons, so to speak. And then Ambush was came about because I was trying to, keep it along that one name series, but I also was like, the initial incident in the first book was that Maya and her team of first responders are ambushed by a right-wing militia, and that feeling of being under siege.
I have another. Are there other first responders aware of what you're doing? So your first responder community, are they aware of your books? Have you?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how do they feel about it? Do they relate, or what do they think?
Oh yeah, yeah. And my one coworker said, it's so relevant to the times that we're living in. And then it's just kind of people go, oh yeah, I get it. They can see themselves or see that call that they've been on, or remember that I actually was a shit magnet in my job, which I point out in my first story, that if anything bad in the world's going to happen, it's going to happen on my watch. So,
I noticed that term in Ambush.
yes.
I like
Yeah.
that, shit magnet.
Yep, that is it. Yeah. I mean, I retire and then we have a pandemic and I'm like, of course I'm not going to get a break.
The
So,
same thing happened to me. I guess I'm a shit magnet too. I love
yes.
that. Oh, Rick, I see you got some more.
Yeah, what is book 3 about? Is there a book 3 in the works?
Yes. So the same protagonist, only this takes place on a whitewater rafting trip in the Grand Canyon. And the character sort of takes off where she left off at the end of Ambush. And
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, do you have a regular writing practice, or do you write as the spirit moves you? Are you a scheduler or a ad hoc?
Well, I've had a lot. Well, the first 2 books were kind of easy. The first one, I was writing in an old cabin on a property that we had bought in the foothills. And I had quiet time, and then COVID hit, and I was like, oh, well, this is perfect. And then the next book, I dropped a knife on my big toe and severed my tendon and had to sit on the couch for 2.5 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those were easy. And so this second one has been harder to nail down because I also like to travel and do stuff. So I try to write some. I haven't been writing my novel, but I'm going to travel in South America for 4 months. So I'm going to sit down and have like 2 hours a day just to dedicate to writing. And I feel like I'll just be able to take a deep breath.
Yeah, a comment just came in. It sounds like you're more like a knife magnet.
Yes, that could be. It's like everyone says, it's like, I've always heard that could happen. I'm like, yeah. And I really experienced it. So, so be
Wow.
careful with the knives in the kitchen. I now wear boots.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see, I'm losing track here. How does Emergence tie the 2 books together?
So I think the name came out of I'm emerging from this career as a paramedic into something new. And so that was like the emergence. Does that make sense?
It does.
Let me see. How about a anecdote from your days as a paramedic? Maybe a humorous one if you've got one.
Oh boy. The one that I used to use, the only way out is through. And I'll make the best day out of someone's really bad day. Those are my 2 things that I used to say to myself. And I can't think of a really funny one off the top of my head. I mean, gallows humor was definitely a part of our job as a paramedic. Like most people could not eat dinner with the stuff that we talk about around the table.
And how did you deal with in your story about discrimination against women?
I think I I think I handled it really well because it was just trying to, I tried to highlight the fact that challenges that women have, but then also raise the humanity of the male characters in my book. So it isn't, an adversarial relationship. It's just fraught with tension at moments.
Mhm.
And is the Tahoe setting a character? How does the setting affect your story, like in weather, road conditions, rich versus everyday workers, casinos versus whatever?
Well, that's it, is that in the book, Maya has various conversations with different neighbors. And then the setting of Lake Tahoe itself is a place because a lot of her trying to get over her trauma is to go out mountain biking or paddle boarding or, hiking. Um, and then the premise of the story itself is around the neighborhood and the community that the people live in. That's very unique. I mean, it's a tourist community. So you can have some ski dudes living next to, a millionaire, next to a Karen, just a lot of different people all trying to coexist together.
Yeah.
I can see that people want to get into the gallows humor here. Tell us what's, without being too graphic, about a call you responded to that was unusual. And I think in the same vein, what is the weirdest non-threatening injury you ever had to work with?
Non-threatening injury. Oh, that's a loaded question. I know where that's coming from.
Oh.
Anyway, let's see. What's the first part of that question again?
Without being too graphic, a call you responded to that was unusual.
One that sticks out early in my career was that we had a guy who had overdosed on heroin down on the sidewalk by the aquarium. And so we woke him up and then he starts, being combative and we get him to the hospital. But anywhere, so he told the doctor that he was kidnapped by the doctors from hell. No, he was like, well, okay, that's a wild one. And I don't know, those certain stories that just kind of stick with you, like that are kind of odd.
Yeah.
At least he had a druggist from hell, that's for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know if this is a question. Perhaps a future murder at Sand Harbor Theater in South Lake Tahoe? Question.
Oh, that would be an interesting one.
Hmm.
I wonder, during the Shakespeare Festival.
Yeah, that's all I have. That's all I got.
That's all
Yes,
you got.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the question about discrimination of women made me think of something. I don't know, this may be not connected to what we're talking about. I tend to do that sometimes, but I knew a police chief who became a woman chief in the, well, no, she became a police officer in the 70s or whatever time, and they had her sew her own skirts for uniform because God forbid she should wear pants.
Huh.
And so I don't know if, because obviously we're younger than she was, but do you have anything like that where a woman had to do something so different or
Oh
had
yeah.
that time gone?
Well, here's this is a good story. So I could not wear women's shoes because they were narrow and pointy, the women's boots. So I had to buy a pair of boots right when I started paramedic training, and the only pair they had was 2 sizes too big for me. So I had to buy them and then wear like 2 pairs of big, heavy socks to keep them on. And that was like the early days of uniforms. You'd get these pants that were like they were super tight in the hips, and then you'd be swimming in the waist.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then finally some young gal came in and she started getting your uniforms tailored. And then we're like, oh, that sounds like a really good idea.
Wow. So are you going to, and maybe you said this, are you going to, with your third book, it's also Emergence or it's not? I can't
Yeah,
remember
it's
now.
Emergence, yeah.
So are you going to continue with Emergence or are you thinking of another series? Just curious.
I have a couple eco fantasy books in my mind that I really want to get out. So I think that I will do the third book, finish that up, and then I want to shift for a while. But then I also have another, book, but I think I'm going to be done with the character Maya. I mean, of
Well,
course
oh, go ahead.
I can always come back to her later, but
Yeah, someone just asked what I was about to ask. Because, when you say eco fantasy, I do this like I know what you're talking about, and I don't. Can you explain eco fantasy to us?
so it's basically sort of an environmentally themed fantasy novel, dealing with, a lot of the subjects around the environment and nature and, conservation, and then weaving it into a story that has, characters and worlds and, and it's that fiction thing again, which gives me license to create the world that I want.
Nice. So do we have any other
Yeah, Overhead. I think she's on this. She wants something to happen in Tahoe. Somebody really poisons Hamlet's dad by pouring something in his ear at the Shakespeare Festival. Maybe York. I think she's trying to pitch a book for you.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll go back to Tahoe. There's so many good or mystery writers in Tahoe. I feel like it's a hard, there's a lot of I tend to be I like to travel, so I like different places. And so I think I also like to write about different places, which is why I've got, go back to the Pacific Northwest in the second book and then go down to the Grand Canyon in the third. But there's good writers, Todd Borg, Nick Pirogue, Jennifer Kwasnick are just three. And then there's like two or three other mystery writers in Tahoe.
I was going to ask if you're going to write in Spain. It just, it just gives you that feel. I don't know.
Yeah, if I move there.
Ah. Yeah.
Whose writing do you admire?
Boy, I love, as far as mysteries go, my aunt who ran a used bookstore in Kingston, Ontario, sent me the first book that Nevada Barr wrote called Track of the Cat. And I was hooked because she writes, it was the first time I read this character of this strong female protagonist, in nature, which I love. So I would say, like, as far as mystery books, she was really an inspiration to me.
Excellent.
And then fantasy books, I like Charles DeLint. He's a fantasy book writer. I mean, I read a lot of different books, but those are the two that stand out.
What's your favorite part of world building?
The descriptive. I really love building the world. And I think that's why I really want to do eco fantasy, because what I enjoy the most is writing about the natural settings. That the character finds herself in, whether it's mountain biking or whitewater kayaking or hiking.
And we just got a plug for climate-fiction.org, the Climate Fiction Writers League. It's in the chat. So people want to check out.
That'd be great. Yeah, I didn't know about them.
Yeah. Wow. Did anyone want to raise their hand? Any other questions? Are you when you were working, what side did you work on? Were you on the Nevada side or the El Dorado County, or the California side, or did you both?
I actually was a paramedic up in Seattle.
Oh, in Seattle. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, in my book, you'll see there's a lot of rain scenes.
I wonder why.
Because that's really how it is.
That's typecasting or setting casting. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And have you done any solar punk?
I don't even know what solar punk is.
I was going to ask, what is solar punk?
Yeah, Dover will let us know.
Solar punk is when it's like steampunk in that it's Victorian age. So that's the era because it's steam. So it's the rebellion punky idea, but in a climate challenged future, usually involving some alternative form of energy. For example, a friend of mine did a story about water raising, and she had a barge in London, except London was mostly underwater.
Oh, that'd be, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, I feel like a lot of creative license when you're world building in the future.
Yeah.
or the ability to, do things you can't do in the real world.
Well, that's a new one for me, solar punk.
Yeah, I had not heard of it.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Anyone else have a
yeah.
question or something to share, or any chats to put in there for Rick to talk about?
Yeah. Just sitting here with nothing to do. There we go. Will you be bringing dogs as subjects into your future books?
Always, yeah.
Yeah.
Dogs are definitely. They're great characters, right? And great protectors and, partners. But unfortunately, the Grand Canyon does not allow dogs, so I can't bring them into the third book, but I can bring them in at the beginning and the end.
Yeah. Yeah, they were real protectors in Ambush.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can say the story that they're sort of modeled after my two dogs. I had a white German Shepherd who's since passed, but he saved me from a baby raccoon once. We were hiking off trail and I stepped down and I think he heard it. It probably would have bit me and he reached down and grabbed it.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's just the kind of dog he was. He would have just died for me. So, and then Mika,
Oh,
come here. I don't know. She's so old now, but you can see.
she just walked by. Oh, there's another one. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is the model for Callie.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got one of them.
Yeah. And she
And looks
can't
like-
jump just like in the story. So
Yeah. And Dover's trying to pick a fight now. Who cooks better, firefighters or paramedics?
oh, I'm just gonna I'll say firefighters. Yeah.
You know, my late brother-in-law was a firefighter in Oakland for 40 years.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he thought he was the best cook in the world. I mean, he was good, but I mean, those egos, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and the thing is, you have to be good because if you are not good, you are going to hear about it.
You will totally hear about it.
Oh yeah, you will never live it down.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you a quick story. So the first time I ever invited my husband, when I was engaged, to the firehouse, I said, you got to come for Thanksgiving. It's the best food ever, It's like the best way to spend Thanksgiving. So he did, and they had the rookie cook the turkey, and he just basted it in Worcestershire sauce. And it was the worst meal I've ever had at the fire station. And I'm like, no, really, they're usually like so amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here's a question. As a pantser, did you just sit down and start typing, or did you have some notes on your story idea and characters first? And when planning, how much planning did or are you doing before you sit down and begin again?
So literally when I sat down to write Aftermath, I sat down and I just started writing. I mean, it wrote itself. And then, the sort of spark for the second book was based on the initial incident in the first book. And then, I had to be a little more strategic about because it is about the fire department and it is about, paramedic, I had to be more strategic about how I brought things into the book. Like, how's this going to be read or how are people going to take this? So I tried to be somewhat careful. Like I told Myra, I said, you can diss on the chief and you can diss on the volunteers, and get away with it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's a question from my own heart. Did you watch Emergency as a kid?
I did. And you know what? I never in my wildest dreams thought that was what I would do for a living. I mean, I love the series, but it just wasn't on my radar at all. And I kind of stumbled into it in college. So I
I'll have to
started
tell you some stories about sitting around with Bob Fuller, who was Kelly, in the Emergency.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
In his Texas ranch one time, I thought, this is kind of interesting, talking about Emergency and Wagon Train and actually Rin Tin Tin. He was getting out of the Korean War. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
Enough about me.
No, but I mean, I love that. I did a video presentation for I think it was the 30th anniversary for the place where I worked. And I used that initial, rampart, the dispatch stuff in it. And then it segues into pictures because we called the early days of Medic One the Wild Cowboy days,
Yeah.
and they had characters very much like, Johnny and Roy.
Yeah. And they were very limited what they could do back then compared
Yes,
to
and they had to, be on that phone and
the whole time. Right. Yeah. What did you think you were going to do before you became a paramedic? What was that your ambition in life or?
No, I was going to be a fine artist. I actually went to art school. I went to Evergreen State College up in Olympia. And my friend in my other college says, hey, you should get a summer job with the Forest Service. And I thought, oh, I want to be a backcountry ranger and stuff. But then, of course, they hire for firefighters, wildland. So I did that. And then when I went to Evergreen, I saw a poster. It said, be a student resident firefighter. And I thought, well, that'd be kind of interesting. Live at the fire station, go on calls and learn stuff while I'm going to college. So that's kind of how that happened.
And
But
what
yeah,
art?
I was all set to be artist, which I actually did end up using for my conservation work.
Yeah.
I did a graphic design and stuff for that work.
Favorite art medium?
Computers and photography.
Graphic art, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was the hardest thing in the firefighter training? Was it scaling buildings, or what was the thing that was most challenging when you started in your training?
Well, I went to Harborview Medical Center through the University of Washington, and the hardest thing was going for an entire year without any sleep. I literally, it was like medical school. Like you literally would be up for 2 or 3 days at a time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was the hardest. And then just being thrown in, they throw you into the fire like from day one, and you got to sink or swim.
Is the avenue in becoming a paramedic to a firefighter or a firefighter to being a paramedic, or are they two separate tracks altogether?
So I started out as a wildland firefighter. Then I went to a structural firefighter, and that's when I got my emergency medical technician. And then I decided that I liked the emergency medicine better than the fire. So then I went to paramedic training, where I worked. We were just a countywide paramedic system, but we worked as a team with the firefighters.
Gotcha. Did you ever have to deploy shake and bake?
Nope, I did not. And for anyone that doesn't know what that is, they're these aluminum tents that you deploy when you're going to be overrun by wildfire. And they call them shake and bake bags. And basically, we used to joke that you just baste yourself with butter, stick an apple in your mouth. Because, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think that might be it. Unless anyone else has something they want to say, comment, or ask. This has been a really fun session, and it's been great visiting with you and learning about you. It's just been amazing, and I really
Can we put
enjoyed
everybody online now?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a question, another question.
Oh, how long did your first draft take?
So the first draft, so I started in November of 2019 and finished about May of 2020.
Oh,
Yeah, that's fast.
that is fast.
Yeah, I mean, but was retired, so I had a lot, and it was COVID, so I had a lot of time. I mean, it was just timing. It was like, well, we have this pandemic, and I guess I have a lot more time, and so yeah. But I actually started it before the pandemic. Let's see. Well, thanks for sharing it. Thanks for showing up. I really was looking forward to this. People along the same, interest.
Exactly. And it's always great. I enjoy it because no two stories are ever alike.
Nope.
And that's kind of my life. I like that.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. So, and I'm, thanks for everybody who, showed up. Karen, did you want to give us some final words and some reminders about some upcoming things?
Yeah, just thank you everyone for coming, and it was a wonderful interview. Thank you, Myra, and thank you, Lisa. Just remember to always check capitalcrimes.org for the latest news and events that you can sign up for. We are going to have a holiday party on December 13th in Sacramento Sacramento area at Spaghetti Factory on Watt Avenue. So if you're in the area, please join us. Thank you very much.
And I zoom in from Ecuador.
Oh man, darn it. There's that world traveler in you.
That's right.
Like,
Jetting
I know
off.
it's sometimes frustrating because like I would love to do all these, go to all these events and then I love to travel. So I'm trying to catch, stuff in between. And
Yeah.
I love Zoom because you can sort of pop in from anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrea said she loved reading Ambush.
Oh, great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrea.
Okay, well, thanks everyone, and we will see you at our next event or meet the author. Good
25th.
night.
See you 25th.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Myra.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Karen, for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. Good night.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.